So now here we are going to discuss how we are going to interpret the statement by this dihybrid cross results. So this is going to be very amazing because most of you don't understand why did Mendel did this dihybrid cross and how he came to this statement, how he came to give this law of independent assortment. So let us discuss that. Let us discuss how we are going to come and interpret the statement, that is law of independent assortment. So let us start. As you can see here is we have got this phenotypic ratio, that is 9:3:3:1. Okay, that's fine I guess. But when we talk about the monohybrid cross, we had a ratio, the phenotypic ratio as 3:1 and genotypic ratio as 1:2:1 in case of monohybrid cross. Okay. So now we are going to come to those results from this cross also. Let us see how. Okay, if I ask you how many, if I am going to separate the characteristics, now I am asking you that we are going to discuss only the seed shape, whether it is round or whether it is wrinkled. If I talk about how many seed shapes are going to be round, let us count it. Okay, this is going to be round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So we have 12 combinations out of the 16 that are going to be round from the outer appearance. Means superficially when you look at them, 12 out of the 16 are going to have a seed shape that is round. Remember, I am just going to tell you something that is going to be very amazing. So please look forward to it. Then if we count the number of wrinkled seeds, we have here 1, 2, then 3 and 4. So we have 12:4. Okay. So when I simplify this, this is going to be 3:1. We are going to have 3:1. So the ratio for round is to wrinkled is going to be 3:1. This is what we had for monohybrid cross, that is 3:1. Okay. So next we are going to have the genotypic ratio for it. How many seeds are going to be pure round? How many seeds are going to be hybrid round and how many seeds are going to be wrinkled? So remember, when we are going to arrive to that ratio, it will be 1:2:1. So this is how we are going to prove this. Now let us talk about another characteristic, that is the cotyledon. Whether we are going to have green cotyledon or yellow cotyledon. Let us see how many are going to be yellow cotyledons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So 12 are going to be yellow cotyledons and let's see how many are going to be green cotyledons. We have here 1, 2, 3 and 4, that is 12:4. So the simplest ratio over here is 3:1. So this is the main key point after which Mendel gave this statement. So you can see when I was having two characteristic traits, we had a ratio 9:3:1. Okay, and when we are going to separate these characteristic traits, we had ratio 3:1 as I simplified this ratio. This is the same ratio we obtained in case of what? In case of monohybrid cross. In case of monohybrid cross, we had a ratio that is 3:1 and the same ratio we are having here when we are going to separate these two traits. It means when we are going to consider two characteristic traits simultaneously, this is not going to affect any of the characteristic trait. So from here, from this conclusion, Mendel gave this law of independent assortment, means alleles of different characters located in different pairs of homologous chromosomes are independent. So the key word is independent of one another in their segregation during gamete formation and in coming together into the offspring by fertilization, both processes occurring randomly. So means if we have chromosomes which are going to encode for different characteristics, they have an independent assortment. Neither of them is going to affect the trait presented by any other chromosome. So remember, these are going to be what? They are going to be independent. So the alleles of different characters located on different pairs of chromosomes are independent of one another. Why? How we have come to this conclusion is, as you can see, we arrived at 3:1, which was the ratio of monohybrid cross, that is 3:1. This means that when we are going to separate these two characteristics, we are going to achieve to this ratio, that is 3:1. So this confirms to the point that when we have two characteristics simultaneously, they are not affecting each other. Okay, so we have the chromosomes are independent of one another in their segregation during gamete formation and in coming together into the offspring by fertilization, both processes occurring randomly. So whenever they are going to segregate, whenever they are going to come into the zygote after fertilization, they are independent of one another. If we have 2-3 characteristic traits on different chromosomes, they are not going to affect each other because they are going to be independent. This is what is the key point in this law of independent assortment. How Mendel came to this conclusion, we have already done that. Remember, when we have considered one characteristic trait at a time from this dihybrid cross, we achieved this ratio 3:1, which was the same ratio in case of monohybrid cross. If this ratio would have been different, then we would have said that this is not possible. Means the characteristic pairs, when we are taking two simultaneously, they are going to affect each other. But since we have achieved the same ratio as in case of monohybrid cross, this means presence of two different characteristics have not affected each other in such a way, and they are independent of one another. And the alternative statement, let us look at this also now. During the formation of gametes in each sex, either one of a pair of alleles may enter the same gamete with either one of another pair. So this also conveys that the law of independent assortments, that alleles are independent of one another. They are not dependent on one another, they are independently assorted. Okay, so remember how Mendel came to this conclusion is by getting this ratio when he separated the two characteristic traits. So when we compared only the seed shape, that is round or wrinkled, we came to this ratio. When we compared only the cotyledon color, green or yellow, we come to this ratio. So this confirms to this idea that when we take two characteristics at a time, they will be assorted independently. They don't affect each other. So this is how this law of independent assortment was given by Mendel when he studied the dihybrid cross, when he came to the results of this dihybrid cross. Remember, we are not going to discuss the genotypic ratio in this case. Why? Because it is going to be more complex. So we are going to discuss only phenotypic ratio, means from the outer appearance how the plants are going to be. I hope this important law is very, very clear to you. If it's not clear, please I am going to recall it again. See, the alleles of different characters located in different pairs of homologous chromosomes are independent of one another in their segregation. How? Because when we had this cross, we had 16 plants, we had 16 outcomes, and the phenotypic ratio was 9:3:3:1. What we are going to here prove is that when we have two characteristics at a time, they are going to independently assort and none is going to interfere with each other. So when we separated the characteristics, we compared the seed shape, round or wrinkled, we had this simplest ratio again, which was the same as in case of monohybrid cross. When we compared the color of cotyledons, green is to yellow, we had this also, this again, yellow is to green, sorry, 3:1. So when we are coming to the same ratio as in case of monohybrid cross, this confirms to this idea that when these alleles are in pairs and we have two different characteristics on different pairs of alleles, so what is going to be the conclusion? That they do not affect each other. Okay, so this is how the alleles are independently assorted, and this gives the law of independent assortment. I hope this is very, very clear to you now.